Hey y'all, thanks for stopping in. Let's talk about Anheuser-Busch and Bud Light a little bit and what's going on today and where it stands and there's people on both sides of this. Tim Pool, Kid Rock even all kind of saying the boycott's over, right? Tim Pool says we need to declare victory now because next April when the year rolls over, they're going to be looking back at 2023's numbers and they're going to be claiming that the boycott's over, that the boycott failed, because you won't see the drop off in numbers and you might even see some rebound. That would be my guess, actually. And currently the stock price is, I believe it's about back to where it was when all this began. The stock price, when it dropped, I'm sure became an opportunity to a lot of investors and stuff like that who saw an anomalous trend potentially. No financial advice. I didn't buy any. That's for certain. But I'm sure there were people that didn't give a crap about the boycott whom saw an investment opportunity and jumped on it, right? So the stock price to me doesn't necessarily correlate at all or have anything to do with the success of the boycott, in my opinion. Now, what has Bud Light or Anheuser-Busch done to get back in people's good graces? To say, we're sorry for the decision we made, for spitting in all of our customers' faces when we stood behind Heiner Schneid, who called everybody's humor, fratty and, all that we know, as they continued to fund pride events this whole time and things like that. Where's the apology from Brendan Whitworth or Michael? We haven't seen anything. The only thing that we've seen is what we've expected and what they announced that they were going to do, and that was to triple down on their spending efforts in marketing. They're basically going to buy their customers back by giving money to the tunes of hundreds of millions a year to UFC for one, but they partnered with the NFL and College Game Day. They are really just on a full-out marketing blitz, spending money, knowing that, unfortunately, sheep will come back. Or not even come back, but just new people will come into the fold. Tim Pool saying we need to declare victory now, otherwise they're going to declare victory next year. We all know what Bud Light or Anheuser-Busch has lost so far just in this interim. In addition to people that have sworn off Bud Light and Anheuser-Busch products forever, that's definitely a hit to their company. Or, thousands of people that used to drink Anheuser-Busch products now intentionally avoid Anheuser-Busch products. That's not something that any company wants for their business. But Dana White says, let's just go over here. This Yahoo article, and it's a few days old, but I got 3 articles that I wanted to read real fast. Dana White just stood up for Anheuser-Busch amid the long boycott, says it's way more aligned with Americans than other beers. Then it asks the question, time to buy Bud? Well, the answer for me is no. I don't enjoy the taste of Bud Light, for one. And this just goes to show that Dana White was bought with that $100 million. And another thing about Tim Pool, I want to mention that he keeps stating that Bud Light is sponsoring Sean Strickland's opinion. When Sean Strickland comes out and says something anti-whatever, that it's Bud Light sponsoring it. So this is winning the culture back. But something that Tim Pool has overlooked is that this Bud Light sponsorship doesn't actually begin until 2024. So right now, it's Modelo, the current sponsor of the UFC, who is sponsoring Sean Strickland's opinions. Now, things may continue as the year rolls over, and Tim Pool will be right in the end, but for right now, Bud Light has no say in what goes on as far as their sponsorship or anything, because they're not the ones sponsoring it under contract right now. Their contract begins in 2024, which is still a couple weeks away. So keep that in mind. That's something to watch and see. Once the year rolls over, does Sean Strickland tone it down? Will things change at all? We'll see. Aren't even the sponsors. Bud Light's collaboration with transgender social media influencer Dylan Mulvaney earlier this year sparked controversy, leading to a boycott by some beer drinkers. But not everyone is walking away from the beer brand. For instance, Ultimate Fighting Championship UFC CEO Dana White recently urged Americans to continue drinking Bud Light, which, beer is not good for you. He went on, "If you consider yourself a patriot, you should be drinking gallons of Bud Light," he said in a recent interview with political commentator Tucker Carlson. In October, Bud Light's parent company, Anheuser-Busch InBev, Bud struck a multi-million-dollar partnership deal with the UFC starting January 1st, 2024. Bud Light will become the exclusive beer sponsor for the organization, but is not yet, right? White reflected on the decision to select the beer brand, which, if I was Modelo, I would be pretty disappointed that the company that I'm sponsoring, UFC president, is out there pushing another beer brand while I'm still the partner. You know what I mean? Like, kind of what's up with that? I get it that Modelo was owned by Anheuser-Busch besides in the U.S., but you would think that would be a conflict of interest because Modelo is still the sponsor right now. Maybe I'm wrong, but I can't imagine Modelo sponsoring till, like the end of November and then December being in limbo with no sponsor and then it starting, January for Bud Light. I feel like the sponsorship runs up, it ends when the next one begins. And I know that Modelo is the current one. But White reflected on the decision of this beer brand. We had multiple bidders on the table. They were one of them. Yeah, of course, we know all this stuff. So let's go ahead and go over here. I just wanted to talk about that real fast. Budweiser's Power Slap venture is a knuckleheaded bid to turn its brand around after Dylan Mulvaney fiasco. The knuckleheads who own Budweiser really know how to blow up the brand. First, they subjected their loyal customers. Now they're partnering in maybe the most jarring sport in modern history. Is Power Slap a sport? I don't know. I think it's just kind of smacking the crap out of each other, getting yourself brain damage. But whatever, I'm not into it. A contest of grown men taking turns slapping each other in the face until one is so beaten and bruised he can't continue. The sport is known as Power Slap. It's part of Anheuser-Busch's 6-year, $100 million plus branding sponsorship with Dana White, the CEO of UFC and the champion of this new sport. He's the champion of the new sport. He's the best slapper. If you know anything about White, you know he's a brilliant businessman, well-versed in the art of the deal. Based on everything we know about Anheuser-Busch, it's fair to see this is among the biggest branding overreaches ever imagined. A desperate Hail Mary from the lunkhead executives who thought Mulvaney was a smart marketing move. Anheuser-Busch, which owns Budweiser, Bud Light, Michelob, and other brands, is somewhat superficially run by a man named Brenton Whitworth. The former Marine and CIA agent holds the title of CEO of the iconic beer company from St. Louis that created Budweiser around 150 years ago. Anheuser-Busch is no longer independent. It was acquired in 2008 by a beer conglomerate named InBev, renamed AB InBev. Whitworth answers to a bunch of guys out of Brazil and a few from Belgium, often described as unimaginative globalist financial types with hedge fund backgrounds. They get off on cost-cutting to make their numbers work, and for years they've embraced corporate wokeism in the form of DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, ESG, which is environmental, social, and governance, and other prospective C-suits fads that shouldn't be anywhere near a great American institution, and I 100% agree with that. They may trot out Wentworth when they need him. The guys calling the shots are the woke boys from Brazil and Belgium, and AB InBev CEO Michael Dukers, who appears to know less about the typical beer drinker than anyone alive. Recall, Budweiser and Bud Light became the most popular beers in the country until recently because they were decent products, but also a brand stood for something all-American. See the Clydesdale ads, Blue Collar Men, Spuds McKenzie. Let's see. So I'll ask, what's to like there at Bud Light anymore, at AB InBev? What's to like? I mean, they're not an American-owned company. Their beer doesn't taste that great. We know that they're pushing the DE&I and ESG woke agenda into their companies and our country now. We also know, in my opinion, that they just think people are stupid and that all it takes to get people to buy your product is more marketing, which is actually, unfortunately, turning out to be true. Seems like because their numbers are coming back a little bit. I mean, Bud Light hasn't even done anything for their employees, really, right? I mean, many people affected in the wake, their own workers affected in the wake of this decision. So, I mean, what's to like? What have they done? Where have they apologized? Where have they done anything virtuous to win people back for this product? And speaking of the workers, it'll take me over here to this final article. It's also from the New York Post. Teamsters approved strike against Anheuser-Busch months after the Mulvaney controversy. The embattled beer giant Anheuser-Busch, which has seen its market share and sales plummet in the wake of the Mulvaney fiasco, could face a possible work stoppage at its U.S. breweries after members of the Teamsters overwhelmingly voted to authorize a strike. The union, representing about 5,000 workers at a dozen U.S. breweries, said Dutch conglomerate AB InBev has been dragging its feet on negotiating about job security issues. Teamsters leaders said. The union is asking for higher wages, job, health, and retirement benefit protections, but did not disclose details about these issues. Anheuser-Busch can't kick this down the road much longer. Jeff Padalero, director of the Teamsters Brewery, Bakery, and Soft Drink Conference, said in a statement of Saturday's vote. The director of the Teamsters Brewery said in a statement after Saturday's vote, the two sides did reach tentative agreements to end tiered health care and restore retiree health benefits, according to a statement from the labor union. Why would they need to restore retiree health benefits? Did they take them away? The jobs covered under the contract, which ends at the end of February, include workers who brew, package, and ship beer. A spokesman for the Teamsters told the Post, Teamsters stand firm in our fight for the best contract at Anheuser-Busch, and this powerful strike vote proves it. Teamsters General President Sean O'Brien said in a statement, our members, labor talent, and sacrifice are what put Anheuser-Busch products on the shelf, and we are committed to getting a contract that rewards and recognizes their hard work. If Anheuser-Busch's executives can't get their act together to negotiate an agreement that respects workers, we will see them on the streets, O'Brien added. So, now they're getting some pressure from internal. The union has also criticized Anheuser-Busch's decision for $1 billion in stock buybacks to wealthy investors as it simultaneously ignores the need to protect good jobs. Anheuser-Busch is aware that Teamsters strike authorization vote, which is common during labor negotiations. A company spokesperson told the Post on Monday, we are committed to negotiating a good faith with the union to reach an agreement that recognizes and rewards the talent, commitment, and drive of our employees. Bud Light has been the top-selling beer in the U.S. for more than 2 decades, but was dethroned this summer by Modelo as its tie-up with Mulvaney. Okay, we know that. The backlash against the company, which started in April, ultimately resulted in about 400 job losses, or 2% of Anheuser-Busch's U.S. staff, in July. The cuts did not include the brewery's warehouse staff and drivers, among others. The 5,000 union members identified by the Teamsters is about 750 fewer than the 2022 contract, according to CNN report. The Teamsters members recently rallied in New Hampshire, California, and Florida, and threatened more actions across the country if the company doesn't set a date for negotiations, the union said. So it's about time the union is standing up for the employees. And me personally, I'm not a huge fan of unions, but I do appreciate that they're finally standing up for their employees here against AB InBev, who made such a huge blunder. And like I said, it cost 400 workers their jobs. That's what the union is supposed to represent. Now it sounds like those jobs were like outside of their union Teamsters potentially, and maybe that's why those folks actually lost their jobs and not any of the union, because AB knew it would be bad for them. It'd be worse for them, a bigger fight to start getting rid of and laying off union workers. But I'm going to leave that one right there, you guys. I hope you enjoyed this one. Little update on what's going on with AB InBev and Bud Light. Go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you made it this far. I appreciate you, and I'll see you in the next one.